Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Go Ballistic on the Scottish SunSports YouTube channel. I'm Ryan Rowe. I've got a sore throat, so the two men that will have sore shoulders from carrying me today are David Friel and Kris Boyd.
Sitting next to Barry White here.
And you've got some heavy lifting to do because what a day in Scottish football. Yeah. We can't go a week without a huge story. Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart, they're out at Rangers.
A week without a big story, it's every day. Roger Hannah's off. I was hoping for a wee quiet Monday morning, just come in, just talk about the weekend action, and then...
Wow, wait a minute, before we get going here, Roger Hannah's off today as well, so that's Roger Hannah, Grieve. It's happening too much these days.
I know. We're left shouldering the responsibility.
Here. Right, serious matters. What's happening here? Inform me.
What is happening is that Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell have left Rangers. Started to kind of do the rounds this morning. There was a 12 noon announcement.
Left or sacked?
Sacked. They have been relieved of their duties. Andrew Cavenagh put out a statement at 12 o'clock and it's over for them. Patrick Stewart, less than a year in the job as chief executive. Kevin Thelwell, I think he was appointed late April, is no longer there. Seismic stuff. Rangers fans have been protesting against both Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell. They've wanted them out for a long, long time. They blame them for Russell Martin's appointment. They blame him for a very, very patchy, and that's maybe been favourable transfer window, Ryan. Mm-hmm. And now they're gone. So, Boydie, just another quiet day?
Football might be average, but I tell you what, the stories are never.
Amazing.
Yeah, listen, I mean, one half of Glasgow's got their wish, hasn't it? I mean, the one that's singing sack the board, and the other one's managed to do it. But I mean, you've got to ask yourself why now. As you say, Patrick Stewart less than a year, Kevin Thelwell a few months in the job. But we can speak about the time frame and in terms of why now. But it's the correct decision. I mean, let's be realistic. Rangers have been going backwards at an alarming rate in recent months. You look at the drop off from even last year when we spoke numerous times regarding how far off Rangers were last year to where they are now and having spent an absolute fortune. We said it a couple of weeks ago. I don't think any player that's been brought in has been an upgrade in what has already been there. So Kevin Thelwell is solely responsible for that. The interesting thing, I don't know, David, if you've got any more information, I think that he has created, a little empire below him and I said at my column a few weeks ago that personally I feel as if it's been people that he's worked with, that he's got to know, family members that I don't think was ever going to challenge or question him. So he should have free run at it. He has made a complete and utter mess of it, if I'm being honest. And that's, I mean, I think in Scottish football, it is pretty unique in a way. But you look at and usually we speak about for the big two, being able to go to the transfer market and spend the money that 9 times out of 10 they do, they'll bring in better players than what's already in the league. And I just don't see that. I mean, you look at I covered Aberdeen and Hearts yesterday as well. There's a lot of the Aberdeen and Hearts players would get in the Rangers team. That's where it's at right now. I mean, the recruitment has been so bad. Patrick Stewart is a CEO as well. You go back and it was, obviously the club, the takeover and everything was in place. It was leading to that part of being taken over the club. So he had to navigate the club through that part, which, you can cut him some slack and say it's not always easy to do that when a club's in transition. But and I alluded to it a couple of times, in the past, everybody that I spoke to, or when I was at Rangers, it was a case of people were striving to get there. They want to get... All I'm hearing now is within the building that people are trying to get out because the working environment was not somewhere that was great. They didn't enjoy it, and that can't be great. That can't be. There's no way you can function to the best of your abilities when the environment that's being created is not one that everybody enjoys working at. Listen, these two have been removed, rightly so. But now it's up to the people, the staff, and everything else to kick on now. I think that the owners will probably be taking more of a hands-on approach now, rightly so. It's taken them 6 months. I think they'll have learned a lot inside 6 months that the Rangers fans didn't stand back and accept what was going to or what was happening. It's been, especially when you look at the league, when you look at Celtic, the way that they've imploded. Hearts, yes, Tony Bloom said it was going to be a few years before the challenge. They've been able to do it inside such a short period of time. I think a lot of Rangers fans will be looking at it saying, if we had had a house in order at the start of the season, what an opportunity this would have been to win the league. But, as I said, going back to the earlier point there, what impact will this have for, the little contingent that Patrick Stewart had below him, Kevin Thelwell had below him?
And that's the thing. I mean, it's kind of our understanding that Rangers don't expect any more exits. You like said, Dan Purdy, Robbie Thelwell. I mean, obviously time's going to tell in that. As Boydie said, Pragmarat and Andrew Cavenagh will both lead the hunt for the next chief executive, for the next sporting director. And I think, especially in a January window, the sporting director hunt is going to be crucial because they are going to lead up the recruitment. Now, essentially, Rangers did inherit Kevin Thelwell, but Andrew Cavenagh signed off. Pragmarat signed off. Greta Steinson signed off on him. So he wasn't coming in as a nobody. He was a guy that, as Andrew Cavenagh said in his statement, 6 months ago they were happy with, but 6 months later they're not happy with. And I don't know, it's interesting, Boydie, because Rangers couldn't afford to keep them in the sense that of the mistakes made in the summer window. But when you've got a January window that's going to be so crucial, and everybody knows Rangers need players, when you don't have that head of recruitment or that sporting director, does it make it more difficult, or is it just the right decision regardless?
Well, it's the right decision. I mean, there's no getting away from it. I would rather not have one than one that's already in a position making decisions that's been made. I mean, like we've spoken about it there. Who has been brought into Rangers that's been better than what's already there? Yeah, no. There's nobody. The fact that, and I know because of the price tag we keep going back on it. I mean, the Chermiti deal is incredible. I mean, it really is. I mean, the fact that Kevin Thelwell was part of the deal to take him to Everton, he must have seen it there that, no disrespect, the kid's not up to it. He is not up to it. To then go and shell out £8-9 million, whatever. Like, Rangers, I think when you go back years ago and you would think, Rangers are not in the position to go and spend this money. They clearly are when they're doing it. When you think of people like Manny Fernandes, who came in at the weekend as well, £3.5 million in him. Asgard, £4.5 million. Ant-Man, £2.5-3 million. Rangers have spent an absolute fortune in the summer on players that are nowhere near the level that is required to be a success at Rangers. And that, if you are the sporting director, that falls at your door. You have to be held responsible for that. It has been a really, really poor period of time in terms of recruitment for Rangers. Going back to, as I said, when that lump sum has been spent on an individual, I get the fact that they might look at Rangers and think, we can maybe bring players in development, sell them on. It doesn't work. Rangers need to get players that know how to win games of football. Rangers could have assembled a team for less than that £9 million when you think of the Scottish boys that were up for grabs in the summer. There was a disrespect towards Scottish football. They decided to go down a route that they thought that they knew best in. And it's backfired. But let's not be kidded. It is for the best that Kevin Thelwell is away from Rangers because he was miles off it. You listen to his interviews, still trying to convince people that, that the process is correct. I mean, no, I wasn't buying it. And as for Patrick Stewart, you can only go on what you're hearing behind the scenes. And for me, there's a lot of unhappy people there. He was part of the process that hired, Kevin Thelwell as well. So he has to be held responsible as well. So it's no great surprise that both of them have been relieved of their duties. But at the same time, I think you've then got to ask, why now?
Yeah, I was going to say that to you actually. Is the heat now on Andrew Cavenagh and Pragmarat? Because fair play, they acted relatively quickly with Russell Martin. They did the same with Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart. They've made tough decisions, but they need to get decisions right, because Kevin Thelwell was an expensive mistake when you look at the money that's been going. Russell Martin was an expensive mistake. You know, these guys come in promising a fresh start, promising things will be different, but they've clearly made mistakes. And Andrew Cavenagh, Pragmarat, Greta Steinson, who's in the background, have to get this right now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's no... It's not easy. It's not going to be easy. But... And that was all in favour of Rangers creating a structure that allows them, to build for it. But you've got to get the right people within that structure. I mean, that's a must. You've got to get... And, for me, I think there was a disrespect right from the start towards Scottish football. They have totally underestimated how difficult it's going to be. I'll say it again, the recruitment has been absolutely miles off it. And it is the correct decision for both of them to go. Rangers will need to rebuild again. It seems to be every 6 months. That's all we hear. But I think there's going to be a big challenge ahead now for Rangers, because the players that have came in, they're not good enough, but they're all on big contracts. They're all on long-term contracts as well. I think when you look at the loan deals as well, I mean, you're talking about building for the future and everything. The defensive line was going to be made up of of loan players. When you think of De Jager, Max Aarons, Magoma, they're all loan players that came in. You're then looking at saying the one who was signed, Manny Fernandez, £3.5 million. Why would you spend that type of money if you're bringing someone in? You've already got John Souttar there. Listen, it might be a project, I get that, but Rangers will never be a project. People need to understand this. Like, there is players you can bring in and develop them, but within within the working environment, they need to win games of football. There's no getting away from it. And the next appointment has to be someone who understands that. You're not getting time. You need to, the only thing that matters to Rangers is winning, and that's been, as I said, because of the way the season has started. There's a lot of angry Rangers fans out there, and rightly so, because they would have felt as if it was the start of a new dawn. It was going to be positive going forward, but we've already sacked the manager. The CEO is now gone. The sporting director's now gone. But at the same time, you've got to give the owners credit for realising it's not working and change it, and they have to change it again.
Yes, Finn, if you look at this statement, there's a lot in it. But this is perhaps the most telling line. Simply put, when we think about what we need in both CEO and sporting director today, it's different than who we think Patrick and Kev are. That's quite a strong statement. And they've also said, Fraser Thornton, he's going to lead on the appointment of the next two, but the owners have needed to act decisively. Yeah. But there's also that tinge where it still feels too late.
I know what you mean, but to be honest with you, I think the easy thing would maybe have been to give Kevin Thelwell another January window in terms of, it was only a month ago that Andrew Cavenagh came out and says they've got a full backing. So I don't know, I kind of agree with Boyd. I think it probably, you just had to make a decision. And what it will do is remove the sort of kind of toxic feel around Ibrox, you would imagine. Obviously, fans can be upset at performances they were against Livingston, but it's always been played out against this backdrop of the anti-Kevin Thelwell protest, the anti-Patrick Stewart protest. That's gone now. The focus can be a bit more on the future as opposed to just this constant, shouts and cries to get them out. And I would imagine it will probably help the atmosphere around Ibrox.
Yeah, there's no doubt it will. But at the same time, I'll say it again. The only thing that will help the whole thing is winning games of football. Danny Rowe has come in. Look, has the performances been great? No. Have they been an upgrade than what was before him? Yes, because he's managed to win them. As I said, you can play bad, you can play poorly, you can have spells in a game where you're not at your best, but you need to find a way to win the game, and that's what Rangers did on Saturday. I mean, it wasn't great. What a weekend I had watching that game before I went to Paisley. Wow. Two arguably the worst games of the season, but Rangers found a way, like Celtic on Saturday night. They found a way to win the game, and that is the most important thing. But I think when you're taking everything into consideration, it has to be better. The whole club has to be functioning better. It needs to be aligned together, and I don't think that has been the case. I would imagine I would imagine Danny Rowe, looking at that squad right now, there will be a lot of players that he's already said, they ain't going to take me to the next level. They ain't going to take me to winning trophies. They ain't going to take me to winning league championships. The work then starts to, how do you start to get these players out the squad and start to build another one? Because it's every 6 months. All we hear is, oh, Rangers are, it's a rebuild. It can't, I mean, they've spent an absolute fortune. So a lot of credit goes to the owners for, as I said, realising that this wasn't working and removing the two of them of their duties, but they need to get the next one right.
So just before we move on to, because there's plenty of Celtic news, we've got the game to cover and a big Celtic manager update. But I mean, Livingston actually tweeted, touching on what you were saying, the Livingston tweet, Rangers escape with all 3 points. VAR stepping in to give the hosts a goal and not giving a penalty for a blatant handball. You know, Rangers did kind of get away with them, but as you say, Chris, they're winning games. I suppose the one appointment they've got right, the set-piece coach. You know, at least there's one appointment right.
I know. I mean, Livy, clearly emotions running high. I have complete sympathy over the penalty, but the goal's onside. Like, I don't know why anybody's thought about VAR stepped in. Well, VAR clearly stepped in because the goal was onside. Penalty, it's a penalty kick. I think we can do mental gymnastics as to, his hand out, is he doing that natural position? It's a penalty kick. It was a penalty kick in 1981, it's a penalty kick in 2025. Forget the new rules, all that sort of stuff, it's a penalty kick. But in terms of the goal, it's a goal. Boyd?
Yeah. No, you're spot on. I agree with everything you're saying. It should have been a penalty. There's no getting away from it. The goal was a goal. And other than that, then, I mean, there's nothing else you can add to it. I mean, it's not as if you can... You say it's a natural position. You know, if you're running, your hands are going forward. But it doesn't matter. You're making your body bigger. It is a handball. It's a penalty kick all day long. Bet you're surprised I said that.
Not at all.
Get that clipped.
So, as you said, you maybe saw, half a dozen shots on target at Ibrox on Saturday. Probably saw even less at St Mirren Park later on. Captain Callum McGregor steps up, bails Celtic out once again, and then he calls for unity.
Yeah. And
he mentioned, we're getting a new manager in soon, but how much will those board protests that have been going on at Celtic for, pretty much since the start of the season be affecting the players?
I don't think you're immune to it.
Luke McCowan said as well that his family keep...
Yeah, you can't ignore it, right? And people will be stopping at the petrol station, shops, something like whatever, talking about what's going on and what happened at the AGM and everything. But I think what Celtic do still have is a nucleus of players who can dig it out and who have won things, and no more so than Callum McGregor. I mean, Celtic were appalling on Saturday night, let's be honest. I mean, it took them, I think it was a header from Yang and just a minute before Callum McGregor scored to even get a shot on target or an effort on target. Some of them are very good. They hit the post, they had some chances, they had a goal disallowed correctly. But when push came to shove, Celtic found a way to win. And Callum McGregor, I know at the start of the season people were questioning his form, Ryan. I thought that was premature to kind of be writing him off. And I think he's shown in the last few weeks what a good player he is, what a good captain he is, and what a strike that was. I mean, he scored a lot of good goals for Celtic over the years, but the power behind that shot, the first touch, the second touch, and the goal, and given that Hearts then lose the next day, it's a huge 3 points for Celtic.
Yeah, you're right, 100%. I think it's important to touch on the goal as well from Scales. Listen, it's a correct decision. McMenamin isn't an offside possession, and I touched on it Saturday in the game. Like, when people say, "Oh, but Scales, his head's down." Even if his head's down, you can still see out the corner of your eye that there's someone there, and then all of a sudden he has to do something. He kicks it. What a finish it was! It was like one of yours in the fives. But it's the correct decision. There's no getting away from it. And I know there'll be people mumping and moaning about it, but it's the correct decision because Scales, as an international defender, he had Mandarin in the inside of him. He was going to get his body across and probably usher it back to the goalkeeper. Schmeichel would have came and collected it. So when McMenamin comes into his line of vision, that's when he decides to kick it. So it is the correct decision. You're 100% right on Callum McGregor. Great first touch to get it out. Then the second touch just settles everything down, and then boom, what a fantastic strike it was. I think for Celtic, it's a huge 3 points in the context of the weekend as well, with Rangers getting over the line. Hearts then playing the following day, asking a question of them. Touched on it. They would have been sitting in that hotel watching that game on Saturday night. all of a sudden thinking, whoa, here we go, what an opportunity we've got tomorrow. Then, that goal goes in, and then all of a sudden the pressure then is on Hearts because the gap's been closed. They had a difficult game at Pittodrie, we'll touch on in a minute, but for Celtic, I think you can tell that it's a team that's getting to the stage now where it needs a manager. It needs a manager. I mean, Martin's went in and had to steady the ship. But listen, I might be totally wrong here, but I don't think Martin O'Neill will want to manage, coach the same way that Matt Fotheringham, Sean Maloney will. Whether there is, there'll be different bits of information given to the players and the way they want to play. I don't know, but all I can say is watching them, that's what it looks like. Celtic have an identity for a number of years now in terms of the way they play football, and I don't know, it's maybe just like they're hearing some things, and then Martin might be wanting to do another thing, and then there's the whole thing of a new manager coming in. He'll be watching us right now. We need to impress him as well, but for whatever reason, David, I don't know, but Celtic players right now, they seem to be struggling. When you think of Maeda, miles off it. Hatate, miles off it. Engels, I thought at the weekend again, another opportunity for him to play, miles off it. Anthony Ralston, wow. You can go right through it. There was a lot there where you thought they ain't anywhere near the level that they've been in previous seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Martin O'Neill, as Boyd is saying, I think if he was to get the job long term, which isn't going to happen, he would want to do things a certain way. And you could tell he was frustrated by aspects of Celtic's performance, and it wasn't a game to be trying to play too much football, I don't think, especially at the back. And Celtic kind of got themselves into danger at times. But I think on Martin O'Neill, I think we're now at a stage where it's almost borderline unfair for him to still be front and centre and fronting all this up. I mean, he was the one that was rolled out after the AGM to kind of pick up the pieces and give his view on it. And I know some Celtic fans were even criticising him for, almost defending the board. I mean, get a grip, come on. I mean, Martin O'Neill has done so much for Celtic, both in the past and both now. He's answered the call here. He's been put in a really difficult position. He never expected to be back in this position. And he's trying to kind of almost be this figurehead and speak. He's now almost a spokesman for the club again. And I think, as I said, I think it's getting to a stage where it's borderline unfair. I do expect this time next week, Celtic will probably, if not have a manager, they'll be very close to appointing a manager. But I think he's done a terrific job in the circumstances. If you just look at results, performances have been up and down. But if you just look at the domestic results, getting to a final, he can walk away when he does walk away with his head held high. And if Celtic go on to win the Cup and go on to win the league, I think there should be special recognition for him, because I think he's done in really, really trying circumstances. And as I said, it's borderline unfair now that he's having to do all this. I think he's been exceptional. He's trying to galvanise the club. He's trying to unify the club. That's not his job, Ryan. He's an interim manager. He's 73 years old. You can tell. You can look at him at the side. It's going to take a toll. I'm not being patronising. It just is. And he can't admit as much himself. It is. And I think Celtic, as Boyd is saying, Celtic need a manager in. I think it's going on far too long anyway, but they need a manager in as quickly as they possibly can. I'm assuming it's going to be after the Hibs game now at the weekend. But whatever happens in the next two games, I think Martin O'Neill, as I said, can walk away with his head held high.
Why do you think Celtic, why do they not get it done? I mean, because we're all expecting it to be Nancy next week. Why is it taking till because Rangers were criticised for having a long period of time without a manager, yet it seems to be okay for Celtic to do it.
It's probably gone. I don't mean under the radar. It's probably not been such a big thing just because Celtic have managed to win. If Celtic had dropped points, people would have been talking about it more. There are so many theories. There's so many conspiracy theories over why he's not in yet. Did he want a break at the end of the season? Did Celtic want to kind of just give him a bit more time? Did Celtic want to try and get through some tough away games? Did Celtic, are his compensation? I mean, I've seen the stuff at the weekend of his compensation drops once they get into December. I don't know. It's been very, very odd in terms of a pursuit. He's number one target. I'll sit here right now and say Wilfred Nancy will be the next Celtic manager. However, Columbus Crew still maintain to the blue in the face that there's been no contact. The whole thing is very, very strange. I agree with you, Boyd. I think it's taken far too long. I mean, how long are we talking now? 4 weeks since Brendan Rodgers left? 3-4 weeks? But he will be the next manager. And I'll repeat, Celtic have been lucky they've had a guy like Martin O'Neill to come in and steady the ship and take so much on his shoulders, because he has answered their call and they owe him a big favour.
Yeah, I mean, if you think we've got a story out that Celtic are also, he wants to bring in 4 coaches of his own, and there is this, sort of compensation angle, but...
Who wrote it? Who wrote the story? Then I'll decide if it's true.
Ryan Rowe wrote that story this morning.
Oh, well, it's...
Blame him.
False information.
I'm taking nothing to do.
But so we add in all these things, like backroom staff and, you're getting deals over the line, all that kind of stuff. But I think it was Derek that originally revealed, Derek McGregor revealed
He's a man.
That it was Wilfred, Nancy was the kind of top target. It seems to have taken a long time to go from top target to in the door, and I think that's where the frustrations come.
Well, there's clearly a reason. I'm not sure we'll ever know the reason, to be perfectly honest with you, because there's a lot of murmurs and rumours and, as I said, conspiracy theories. But I'll put my neck in the line. He'll be the next Celtic manager. Oh. It's a big one,
Breaking news, that one.
So this will probably be the last Go Ballistic that we have where he's not the manager. So next week...
Times we've said that.
Yep, I know. So next week we'll be reacting to that. Nonsense. What we will...
Are you coming back on next Monday as well?
I never said Wilfred.
I told you so.
It's like you're Michel Ange Balak Michel.
That was a 6-month edit.
Going to Pittodrie. I heard you over the weekend, Chris. I think Dimitar Mitov was a lucky boy.
Very.
With the penalty.
Very.
But
right, here's what I'm going to go. Right, this is in my soapbox. Goalies get away with murder.
Yeah.
A protected species. A protected species. See if that's an outfield player. It's a red card, and nobody's even talking about it. Why are goalies allowed to get out? Come out like that.
I get the fact that, by the way, the ball he goes for, he totally misses as well, because he totally missed times that. And I get you cannot just say, right, okay, I've missed the ball, stop, that's it, my feet are back on the ground. But the way he goes for it, the knees up, then the leg gets outstretched as well. I cannot believe a penalty kick wasn't given. I said that at the time. I get the fact that you'd be in danger of re-refereeing the game, and that'll be the line that that will probably be used. But it's a blatant foul. I mean, he's just crashed straight into Kabore, wipes him out. It's one of those ones where not a lot of the Hearts players went to the referee and asked for it. But at the same time, if they'd have done it and it wasn't given, all you would hear is, no, we don't want to hear players gathering around the referee. It's not the right thing to do. So you can't have it both ways. And I mean, for me, as you say, they get away with murder 100%. They'll always come, anybody that's anywhere near them in the box, the simple touch, and it's a free kick given to their way, but they can come flying out their goals and just smash into people and nothing happens. For me, it was a penalty kick all day long. Listen, Derek will look back and this morning when he watches it back, I would think of a case of we should have got something from that game. The guys that were missing, Halkett, Beningame, Shanklin for the little bit of quality, the X factor he's got at the top end of the pitch, yes, but I don't think the other ones played that. I mean, Frankie Kent came in and done really well at centre back. Magnuson came into centre the pitch and was very good. Kabore, I think, I'll be honest with you, and I don't know what you two think. For me, Kabore, if he plays every game, he will get you 15 goals a season, no problem. But you're going to look at it and think, oh, wow, he's not a finished article, he's not this, he's not that. But he gets himself into position to score goals. It was a bad day for him in front of goal yesterday. Snatched at a couple. But I do think there is a player in there that knows where the goal is, can finish, is a handful. We'll back into defenders, ask questions of them. But, overall yesterday, Derek McInnes, I think, he won't be happy that they've came away from Pittodrie, having played as well as they did in large parts of the game, without a point. Aberdeen, I thought that there was Jimmy Thelin would be happy enough. Well, I'd be delighted with the result, delighted with the clean sheet. I thought for periods of the game, Aberdeen showed that they have been underperforming this season. It's a great 3 points for them. They then go to Europe on Thursday night. I think it's at Pittodrie. You'd imagine another full house there. We had an opportunity of getting 3 points there. and then looking to kick on next week as well. So it's I can't remember the fixtures off the top of my head. I had them written down yesterday, but the next 4 home domestic games for Aberdeen is a huge opportunity for them to get points on the board. And if they can do that, they can get themselves back into it, because there was a little gap opening up there from Motherwell to in that top 6 position. They've managed to get the victory yesterday. Keskinen, good goal, I must admit. Derek, again, might look and think because he that bad. I don't think they lose that goal in the back 4. I really don't, because it would have been more solid. I don't think they do. But Keskinen, he's moved for a fair bit of money in his career. You're expecting more from him. But overall, I thought Aberdeen yesterday, they at least had Scottish boys back in. They've been playing recently. Scottish boys in, they had that identity about them. I don't know if either of you watched the game, but it was actually an old school game. Tackles flying in.
Mm-hmm.
The rain, that was a major factor in a lot of the tackles in the game. But it was just a good game, end to end. I enjoyed it, to be honest. I enjoyed it.
It made up for your poor watchings on Saturday then a little bit.
Wow.
But
don't
suppose
even back on them. They're erased from my memory, those 2 games.
But talking about Aberdeen's next few games, but I mean Hearts, if we're talking about this really exciting title race now that we actually have, they go to Motherwell, host Kilmarnock, go to Celtic, then go to Falkirk, then have Rangers. Yeah. I mean, that's up until Christmas. So Celtic could have a new manager by then. Rangers are winning games now. Hearts, how long do they give them at the top?
I think the key is for Hearts not to panic, because, as I said, I think on another day they could have got a minimum a draw on Sunday. Obviously, they've dropped points before that, St Mirren, Dundee United. So maybe the kind of early season blistering form is gone a bit. They've also lost a couple of players. I certainly had it the weekend, suspension, injury and stuff like that. But I just wouldn't panic. But it's clear this is going to be a key period. But it always is. In any title race, in any race for Europe relegation, this sort of festive period, which is really kicking off now, right up until pretty much the Scottish Cup in the middle of January, this is going to be a crucial period. Celtic will be licking their lips. We'll have some stuff from Callum McGregor in tomorrow's paper talking about the title race and all that sort of stuff, and where Celtic are in it and how they're viewing Hearts and Rangers coming behind them and Hibs and all the rest. I think it's great, but I agree. I don't think Derek McInnes will get too upset by the defeat, because he needs to look at the bigger picture and look at the performance.
Yeah, I mean, if you think...
Sorry, Ryan.
Celtic...
Derek McInnes' full focus has to be on Motherwell. They need to go to Motherwell and win now. That's what Rangers and Celtic have done, especially Celtic recently. But over the years, when you are in a title race, if you have one setback, you bounce back the following week. You go and you show that, no, we're here. We're a force to be reckoned with. It's a huge game for Hearts now at Fir Park on Saturday. Huge game. And they have to go there and get the 3 points.
Yeah, no, all I was going to say is, looking ahead, Celtic will have a new manager in place for the January transfer window. Maybe.
You told us next week, friend.
Rangers are going to potentially maybe not have a new sporting director and chief executive. So if people can say Celtic and Rangers will strengthen in January, you could argue that Hearts are actually in the best position to strengthen in January, because Tony Bloom's been there. Derek McInnes knows the kind of players that he wants. They've got the Jamestown analytics.
Hearts aren't going away. I've said this. I've never expected them to win a league, but they're not going away. I think Hearts will have a major say in how the title race unfolds. But yeah, I expect them to go and strengthen. But I do think when you look at it, look at the bank balances, etc., I would imagine Celtic will go and spend a fortune in January.
So
there's another exclusive. This man is full of exclusives this morning.
That's why they call him the postie. Always delivers. So, Chris, your old pal, I'm talking about Hearts, Craig Gordon. What do we think for him in January? If he wants to be the Scotland #1 at the World Cup, does he need to think about a move somewhere? Could there be a spot open at Dundee United, perhaps? No offence.
Oh, wow. Listen, I don't know. I don't know. I think
would Steve pick him if he wasn't playing regularly, Chris? Sorry.
Yeah, but I think Craig Gordon has shown that he's not played regular up until the last international games, and came in and was excellent. I think a goalkeeper is a position where I know you're not playing games, but in training you'll still have the same scenarios that happen in the games. As long as you can keep your sharpness there. I get, you know, if you're an outfield player, you know, you would say in terms of fitness and that, but I mean, let's be realistic. It's a total different fitness regime that goalies go through that they're able to do every single day with the exercises that they do. So I wouldn't get too bogged down in it. I don't think it would look great if Craig Gordon's to go, a long period of time and not playing in any still Scotland's number one. I think that would say a lot more about the other goalkeepers that, you know, have been pushing them. I think Zander Clark's another one that you've got to say, well, you know, that Liam Kelly's not been playing, Angus Gunn's been injured. Does he look to move on and then maybe try and force his way back into the Scotland squad? So there is a lot of things that could unfold regarding the goalkeeping situation with Scotland. Because if Zander Clark's to go somewhere, he starts playing, then all of a sudden, you know, Scott Bain's got himself back in because, you know, he's been playing. So there is a lot of things. So Craig will, I'd imagine, have a huge decision to make. But I would imagine right now, Craig Gordon's thoughts will be, I need to get back in the Hearts starting 11. He's shown with Scotland he's good enough. I know Hearts need to move on eventually. But that will be his thoughts right now. I need to get back in the Hearts 11. Dundee United, I mean, I know you mentioned them there. I mean, it just went from, it was bad and then it just got worse. Jim Gooden's got a huge decision to make there as well now. I don't think he can carry on. The first one was bad enough. I mean, it was just schoolboy goalkeeping, wasn't it? Just a parry back out. And then, I mean, the second one, when you thought it couldn't get any worse. And then even the third one, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think he must have been in the goal line at Dens Park by the time he got there. It was so poor. And it's not the first time this season. So, I said Jim Goodwin has now got a huge decision to make. It's 1 win and 7 for United as well. I know there's been 3 draws in there, but there's a lot of teams right now, even my old team, Kilmarnock as well, that's 6 defeats. I mean, they're averaging conceding just under 3 goals a game as well. I mean, that can't continue. Motherwell, fantastic for them to go to Rugby Park and get the 3 points, but there's a lot of teams right now as well. Dundee, I mean, wow. I mean, they've no scored in the last
5 of the last 6.
They've not scored in the last 3, and I think they've no scored in 5 out of the last 7 or something as well. So scoring goals is a problem for them. But Kilmarnock, looking at it, it's always been the case where you thought Kilmarnock at home, they'll get results, they'll win games of football. It's not happening. It's not happening. And I think it's a 5:45, Dundee United on Saturday night. It is a huge game for Kilmarnock and Stuart Kettlewell because, I mean, I still speak to a lot of Kilmarnock fans, and it is getting to that stage where they're starting to ask questions. Losing 6 in a row, the performances have not been great. Improved the second half on Saturday, but the first half was really, really poor. I get, listen, he's got injuries. The goalkeeping situation's not helping there either. But they need to find a win from somewhere. They need to.
So just to sign off, guys, Harvey Barnes for Scotland will finish off.
I think we need to mention Hibs as well. When you look at them, everybody's at Hearts, Hearts, Celtic, and Rangers. Hibs are starting to, I know you go back in that last minute goal they lost against Livy. They'll be frustrated with that. They didn't turn up against Rangers, but they've won 4 of the last 6. Hibs. They go to Fir Park Tuesday night, yeah?
Tuesday night, yeah.
Go there and get the 3 points. What a huge game it is at Easter Road next Sunday as well. And they'll fancy their chances.
Oh, aye, they should. I mean, they tend to do okay against Celtic at Easter Road. They've beaten them a few times over the years. I was there. I was at Easter Road Saturday. Bowie back scoring. Should have scored a hat-trick. Martin Boyle was lively. Kluge came off the bench. And for me, the standout player, Jamie McGrath was really good. Standout player, and it goes back to what we were talking about at the start in terms of Scottish players that Rangers overlooked. Josh Mulligan was the best player in the park by a country mile. Powerhouse. He was outstanding. And
seems to suit him a lot better in that central midfield role, though, yeah?
Yeah. He was maybe it was against his former club and he maybe had a bit more, but I thought he was by far and away the best player. He just looked bigger, more powerful, quicker than everybody else, and I think he'll move on again. And I know he's only been in the house for a couple of months, but he's got another move.
I know you're just about to touch on Scotland there. Could he be somebody that forces himself into
100%? It's a congested area, but he is more than good enough. You know,
He's versatile.
He's versatile too, but I just felt, having watched him a lot at Dundee and then seeing him on Saturday, he just looks as if he's really, really maturing physically. And as I said, he was good in the ball, he'd an end product, but it's the pace, it's that burst. Really, really good player.
Hibs are a lot better when he's in the middle of the pitch. So, I mean, I know he's been out there and Cadden's came back in there, but I do think Hibs are a lot stronger when he's in that central mid role as well. And McGrath, it was a really good goal, the second one, well worked. I know they got a little ricochet on the left-hand side, but the set-up play from Bowie, good finish from McGrath. Hibs, as I said, if they can go to Fir Park and get a result, I'm looking forward to next Sunday. You know, it could be a really, really good game. Hopefully that's the case. I'll have my Hibs scarf on. Calm down. Calm down. Right, where are we?
No, yeah,
Harvey Barnes.
Yeah.
Harvey Barnes. I'm having him. He's a good player. It's one for Steve Clarke and the Scotland players, for the senior players to work out. If Harvey Barnes is up for it, I don't think it's as simple as in you come. I think you need to make sure it's not going to upset the squad. I mean, how would you feel if you're still playing for Scotland, you qualify for World Cup, and suddenly someone who has never played just gets parachuted in?
Personally, if it was me and he was taking my position, I would be angry. You'd be hurt. You'd be frustrated. But at the same time, if I am someone else and it's not like impacting on me, I'd be like, "Oh, you've got a player here." You know, if it was a striker and then he's coming in to take your place, you'd be like, "Oh," you know, as I said, the words I've used there. But if I'm a striker and he's coming in for another winger that he's better than, I'd be absolutely buzzing because he's a better player, create more opportunities for me, and that's where I think it's at. If Steve Clarke can convince, I mean, I know he's spoken to him before, but if Harvey Barnes is now ready to commit to Scotland, go and get him. It's an absolute no-brainer. We speak about people performing at the top end of the pitch. We speak about people performing in the English Premier League every single week. He's doing that. He scored 2 goals against Manchester City the weekend as well. Why would you not? Why would you not? He's at an age where he can come in, make a huge impact. You never know. Bringing players like that in might actually, the players that are in the squad, it might make them better. You know, because usually when you've got better players around you, it takes you to another level. So if Steve Clarke decides that, I want to do it, then it is an absolute no-brainer, because does he come in and play? Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and that's it's a 26-man squad at least as well, so you've got a bit more wriggle room in terms of, you know, there probably are guys there that I'm saying in normal tournaments maybe would miss a cut. So I think as long as Andy Robertson, John McGinn and all the senior boys are happy with it, then I can understand.
But, listen, I get what you're saying, everything, but Andy Robertson, John McGinn and that don't run Scottish football. They don't run, you know, for years.
But I get that squad. It's a very together squad.
I totally get that. But Steve Clarke has got to look at Scottish football, and I get the fact that he needs to look at the squad and what's best for the squad as well. But if you're telling me that Harvey Barnes is not better than some of the players that we've got in Scotland, wow, go and get him. If there is an opportunity, go and get him. Because I tell you what, there might be players moaning, there might be fans moaning, but if he takes to the field in a World Cup and scores a goal for Scotland that gets them 3 points in the group stages, that gets them to the next round, they'll be singing his name about him. Harvey McBarnes.
Harvey McBarnes.
It's got a nice ring. It's got a nice ring to it. We get out of the group. Are we getting it?
We don't even know who we're playing yet.
I know. I mean, I've dropped some big exclusives here, but I'm not going to drop.
You don't see it in the future. Can we get out of the group?
Psychic posting.
The 5th.
The 5th of December.
5th of December.
So we'll know on the 4th.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting out of the group, of course we are.
Right, good stuff. Chris, pleasure as always. Thank you to you and to David for carrying me in my sore throat. You'll have sore shoulders. And next week we'll be back. We might be reacting to a new Celtic manager. Who knows? But Chris, thanks again.
What did we say? Probably will.
I'm going to dial back just in case. I'm not here next Monday, so I don't need to take the flak.
Is that a problem? I'm probably sorry.
No problems at all.
Backtracking already. 5 minutes ago. We will have a new manager. To now, it's probably have a new manager. Make up your mind. I thought you're the postie, always delivering.
Well, guys, thank you very much for watching, guys. Thanks for being here with us. Plenty more on the Scottish Sun's YouTube channel and online and in the paper to follow across this week. Scottish football, as Chris said at the top of the show, even if the games are boring, the stories aren't. Thanks for watching.